So far we've seen 3 tripods around camp. This is the one we have for the cooking crane. It has some nails in it. And if you look real careful there, you might be able to see the wire that's hanging. It has some different loops in it so you can adjust the height of the pot. But learning how to set up a tripod properly is one of those simple but very useful skills. Here we have a couple of kettles, a little stainless steel kettle with a wire bail, and a wooden spoon that somebody's carved. And then this is a particularly ingenious little setup. It has a tin can lid that's been cut off with a proper can opener, so it can still be used as a lid. I'll take that off. And inside is a bail, and you can see it doesn't fall down too deep into the can, that direction. And it can't go up any higher than that. So it's all in that little hook right there. And putting the lid back on, we just slip it under the hook, tuck it in there. And it's back together. He used a hammer and a nail to start the hole, and now he's trying to get the tin snips into it to be able to cut another bottom port, feeding port.
That's crackle.
It can be a little hard on the edge of a knife, but we can resharpen the knife. So. Sometimes it's the most efficient way to get the job done.
Wonderful. Wonderful. The value of metal in the woods is good to have a lot of sheets of tin kind of stored.
Remember in the story of the Long Walk, it's how the Russian government paid the native peoples for their services in leading the prisoners out to the labor camp was by giving them empty tin cans.
Big old wood cook stove. Made pancakes in the morning. That was pretty good. Do you usually put raisins or dried fruit in later?
I do. I like to put the raisins in after I'm through cooking it, or the other fruit, and then I stir it in.
Well, if you want to rehydrate things like dried apples, you can put them in a bit sooner.
Yeah. For dried apples, it's good to put them in sooner.
Do you like dried apples in yours?
Well,
Here's these tongs at their more complete stage. Slightly thicker in here. It did crack here, which isn't the best, but it went nicely here. Okay, Chuck is getting ready to investigate his pottery. That could be really hot. Might want another stick to help move things with.
Morning, Army.
Now don't drop it.
Well, there we go. Right there's one.
Well, I had to abandon the camp here last night.
The bugs ran us off.
Bugs consuming us right through the nets. They were so tiny. Finally, I just quit fighting them. I went to the ground. Blew off the sleep now. I said, well, if I'm going to get any sleep, I'm going to go here.
Well, you know where there's all this vegetation, I think there were, except there in the trees where it's now the duck. We didn't have any trouble with insects.
I don't think I'm going to spend any more nights here.
And I think what we were shocked was we're coming right through
Coming right through the bug nets and right
through the bug net.
crawling right under the coat I had wrapped around my head and everything. It was just a matter of swat and scratch all night until we left.
I didn't know we could go through that little net.
There's little no-see-ums.
Yeah.
Go through anything.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You got 4 of them.
These are not mosquitoes. They're getting through the
Now let's come up and take a look at them. Well, there's some cracking,
smaller nets,
but
Finals is
they held together. They didn't fall apart yet.
nasty for both of
No, and I just, the only thing I got is
them. If
just,
I turn on the light before I go
go
to
there
bed,
and maybe just
30 minutes and read. Oh man, I can't do that.
I knew it was a little weak on one area there.
So making them smooth and symmetrical is pretty important for keeping them from.
Yeah. This one here I worked on, it looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a nice one.
Well, very good, Chris. We had some success.
Yes. Well, I guess it's time to build the fire back up again and
Build a fire.
incorporate our pottery.
These are the flakes, I should say.
Well, Richard Croneke, he was pretty clever. Any metal he'd get, those empty airplane gas cans, he used all of them, made glasses, and pen all kinds.
shaking.
I may never have grasped their significance. Must be from that perspective. As we read through these verses, notice the symbolism that Jesus sees. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. Of the plant,
One thing to think about is if you're up here like this, the knife could slip and hit your finger.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So we just leave it alone?
No, you hang on. You just hang on a little bit lower so if the knife
Oh,
edge comes out, it doesn't hit your fingers.
Like that?
as I thought about bearing much fruit, I immediately remembered when we were living in a basement apartment several years ago. The only garden space we had was a planter box next to the steps coming down from the front door. It was just big enough for 2 tomato plants. Now, maybe these 2 plants got a lot of attention because they were all the garden we had, or because we were constantly reminded of them as we came and went. But these 2 plants really produced tomatoes, that if we had put all the tomatoes those 2 plants produced on one side of a scale, of scales, and carefully
As long as you can see
dug up the plants themselves and placed them on the other side of the scales, the tomatoes would have been heavier than even the plant they grew on.
We're working on it. But we just need to grind a bit more down. And then up here, this side actually needs grinding worse than this one does, but they both need it. And some shallow mix that need to be ground out.
But what about trees? If we were to put a tree on one side of the scales and the fruit on the other side, even if it produced heavy crop that year, the tree would probably be heavier, right? But wait. To be fair, we would have to weigh the tree against all the fruit that it produces throughout its lifetime. Being the fruit, again, the fruit would probably even outweigh a tree.
Yeah, leave the water.
Here we have some extra oatmeal that's drying out, baking. Cooked it in the kettle and now we have it roasting on the rocks to help dry it out and make it less perishable, more of a bread-like substance. Here's a wooden wedge I made earlier to help get the chainsaw unpinched. We were cutting that big spruce log. Just chopped out of a limb. And the bottom end is squared off with the axe, or the pounding end is squared off with the axe, as well as pointing the wedge. And it also did double duty for burying the logs on the side of the outhouse pit. And it also helped split the spruce log that was used for that purpose. Here we have our breakfast heating up. Smash cakes getting warmed, and a couple smaller kettles of cereal. And we'll come take a look at some of the carved items. There's a spoon. This is the leftover from the branch that the spoon was made out of. This is a small splitting wedge. It worked much better than this big one for splitting this block of firewood over here. Using that little wedge just with a hatchet, pounding it in, we're able to split that block nicely.
If you want to
Now, I need to put this over here close. Holes on top. There we go. That should be pretty good. Now I'll just level the bottom out and lay these rocks in.
I guess the rocks hold things up off the coals a little bit.
Be too hot if we have it straight against the coals.
And against all that hot dirt.
And
Dirt's bound to be hot.
Yeah, that'll probably be good. Yes. Anyway. Now, I'm ready to come over here and finish mixing this up. And get it in the pan. Since it's peroxide bread, we mix up everything. And then we put our peroxide in. And need to stir it. And we'll put it in the pan.
The pan cold or hot?
Cold.
At home, don't we normally heat the pan ahead of time? No?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. I guess it's the gems where we heat the pans ahead of
Yes.
time.
Okay, it's probably mixed fairly well now. So, we need to be quick and get it in before that oven cools off too much. And before this rises too much. All right. There we go. Now we're ready to put it in. Right there. And then, Chuck, do you want to help me lift that end over? Let's lift it so we don't drop too much dirt on this. There we go. And we can set it down there. There's still a little loop here. We didn't make the hole too big, but
Put a weight down there.
yeah, it'll put some rock on it.
We'll need to push some soil up against both edges here, I think.
Keep the heat on. Just don't want to
I guess you
send
could,
too much dirt into the pan down there.
right, you could put a rock on it or a stump of wood.
Put a log through it on there.
Right, a log, that would work. If it's a heavy one, hold it down.
Fairly heavy, fairly short would be ideal. There, that's the idea.
Yeah, heavier one.
This one. Yeah,
That's better.
I just don't want to get it on fire with the coals.
I doubt that'll happen.
There. Maybe one on that side too.
Okay.
Oh, we'll leave it. Oh, quite a few minutes. So it's 20 to 6 now, so let's see how it is at 6:30.
There.
Even in an hour. Okay, let's
Take it off.
Okay, we're ready to check and see what's in the oven. So there's our baking.
it is.
Where's the nut butter and maple syrup?
So do we need to flip it out to see what the bottom's like? Is it done or do we want
Browned a
to
little bit.
put it in for more?
I think it's done enough
Okay.
to start 'em.